First of all, good evening. It's great that you can be here and join me wherever you are. Hopefully, you're comfortable. You've got a cup of tea ready. I'm going to spend about 15 or 20 minutes talking through the Key Stage 3 options process. And hopefully, it gives you a bit of an insight, not just into what you're choosing today, but also what's going to happen when you go into year 9 and also when you go into year 11 too. I just kind of thought it was helpful to get a really good overview of the whole situation, your whole journey from start to finish. This will all go on the website as well. And at the end, there'll be a chance for any question and answers. So should you wish to do so, then obviously at that point, please unmute yourself, put any questions in the chat, and I shall try and get round to answering them. Okay, so at risk of taking too much time further, I'm going to get started. So hello and good evening, and welcome to the Key Stage 3 options process. So as I've already said, a little bit of just a quick overview of our curriculum. Our aim as a school is to act wisely and make the most of every opportunity. And effectively, the whole point of this evening is to help you to be able to do that. So that we're giving you the information so that you know what you're choosing, you know why you're choosing it, and you know where it might take you. So the whole idea is to empower you to be able to live out our motto. So what is the curriculum for? So every school and every single part of the country has a curriculum, and it's designed to hopefully unlock your future. And that's very much the same for us at Rawlins. So we want our young people to become well-rounded and empower you with the powerful knowledge and skills and the cultural capital to go on and do what it is that you want to do in the future. So whether it is you want to go and be a rocket scientist, where you want to go and save the world's problems, whether you want to go and be a teacher, whether you want to go and go into business, whether you want to go and help other people, it doesn't matter what your dreams are, we want to try and make them happen. So our job is to try and build the skills, the bricks in the wall, so that you can climb to the top of the very highest mountain. Now, we recognize that pupils are not cookie cutters. They're not little gingerbread men, and they all come out exactly the same size and the same shape. And therefore, our curriculum has to have many different aspects to it to enable you all to go and do the very different things you want to do, and to try and enable you all to have the strengths and the weaknesses, and to overcome those areas of weakness, so that hopefully you become a fully rounded person in whichever area you want to go on to. Now, we recognize that we now have a 9-to-1 GCSE specification, and that means that they are very stretching qualifications, which is great, and I'll talk about that in a bit more. But we also have some limitations from the government and from Ofsted, and we also have the financial limitations that we're all challenged with at the moment. And so the reality is that we have to work within all of those aspects and still make it work for you. We recognize, as I said, about those 9-to-1 GCSEs. So when I was your age, and yes, that is a few years ago now, we did GCSEs, but they were A's and A stars rather than 9s and 8s. And in reality, there has been a push towards more examined content. So if you've got any older brothers or sisters, you'll know there's more exams now than there used to be. And in reality, that's fine if you're really good at exams. But having a lot of exams puts a lot of pressure then at the end of year 11. And so what we've got to do is help you to be really good at exams and to make sure that we're not overwhelming you with too many subjects. And that's why there's always a limit to the number of subjects that you can do. Now, we also recognise that there's an increased prevalence in mental health and financial issues for families. And we also, therefore, need to support you both with what we teach you so that effectively you're empowered and can make good choices for yourself in the future, but also so there's no barriers to your success too. So there's clearly lots and lots of things that the curriculum needs to be able to do. So hopefully you get a bit of an understanding that that's why we have what we consider to be our broad and balanced curriculum. So this is what you've been doing year 7 and 8. So we've got religious studies, English, maths, science, languages, art, design and technology, geography, history, computing, music, expression, although you call it drama now, and core PE and PSHE. And that 50 hours is your 2-week timetable. So there's 25 hours a week. And in reality, going into year 9, there's a lot of similarities, but there are some aspects now where you start to be able to shape that journey for yourself. So what is it that I want to look at more of in those areas, and what is it that I can do? So in year 9, 20% of the curriculum is shaped by you. So we have the same core aspects. Everyone does religious studies. That's a requirement of everyone in the entire country. English, maths, and science, again, a requirement of everybody. And then geography, history, computing, and design and technology. core PE and PSHE. Again, those elements are considered to be broad and balanced to try and help you to really get that broad sweep of all the subjects that you need. And again, you may choose or you may not choose to do those at GCSE, but they're really about grounding you in a big spectrum of information so you know what it is you want to do. So then we have that those last 10 hours. And the first of those is your language option. Now, for the first year, you guys got to choose your language in year 7. And so most of you have already been doing one language already in year 8. You're the first year to trial it. And we hope that it's going really well from your progress so far. We've seen some really positive outcomes of this. So I think you're doing really good. So well done, all of you. But it is a trial for us at the moment. So we are literally using you guys to see that and prove that the model works. And if it does, we will try and do the same thing again with the year 7s that are currently going through the system. So you are the role models for all of them. But within that option, we also have arts, we also have music, and we also have a physical option. And I'll explain what those bits mean a bit more. So effectively, that's 10 hours of time where you have decided, look, I want to do this part, but not this part. I want to look at this bit more. I don't want to look at this bit so much. And so I hope that this is a precursor, a starting point for you to think about, well, okay, I have the power to shape my future. And that's really one of our underpinning values. So we really want you to be able to live that out. But more importantly, in year 9, we are doing the precursor work for your GCSEs. So we need to make sure that you know what it is you're choosing and what that looks like. And if you get it wrong, that's okay, because we're going to, in year 9, do the same process, but for your GCSEs. And that's the point at which, yes, you've signed up for 2 years and those are the grades you're going to come out with. But at this point, it's signing up based on the things that you like. And if you do, and it works out well, amazing. And if you don't worry about it, because we can change it again when we get into year 9, ready for year 10. But we are going to be starting some of that precursor work for our GCSEs. And so I thought I'd maybe just talk about that as well. So effectively, in year 10 and 11, in a similar way, we have an area of aspects you must do and an area of stuff that you get choice in. So again, religious studies, everyone has to do, and you'll all do a GCSE in that. English, maths and science, and then core PE and PSHE. Those are the statutory requirements. You then have 3 options once again, but this time those options will be, one of them is an EBAC, and I'll show you what that means in a second, and 2 other options. And so this is going in year 9. You choose this in year 9, so you don't have to worry about it now, but I thought helping you now and letting you know now helps you to know what you're choosing for, where you might want to go. And there's also then triple science as well. And so what you do in year 9 directly affects what happens for your sciences. So triple science isn't an option that you choose. It's an additional course that we put on for you. If you've been doing really, really well in your sciences in year 9, we use all the test data that you have, and we'll then advise you, triple science is the best course for you, combined science higher is the best course for you, or combined science foundation is the best course for you. We want to help you get the best grades possible, and it doesn't matter which way you go, but we want to make sure that we put you on that right course. And if you do triple science, you get 3 GCSEs, hence the name triple. And if you do combined science, you get 2 GCSEs in science. In all cases, you still do biology, chemistry, and physics, but it's what you do in year 9 that will direct you onto which route you go through the sciences. Okay, so that's year 9 options into year 10 and 11. We're still on Key Stage 3, year 8 into year 9. But what happens then, I thought, well, that's useful to know too. Effectively, when you're choosing at that point, you are given some guidance here. And effectively, this is your standard score from primary school, from your SATs. And depending on your starting point, and you can see these 4 different pathways, we will guide you to different combinations of subjects based on that starting point. And that's because these are proven to be really effective for you and effectively to make sure you are matched with an appropriate set of courses for your starting point. Now, this is guidance. No one is going to make you have to do all these things, but at the same time, it generally works out pretty well. And generally, this is pretty good guidance, which we've used now for the last 4 years. And those students have done really, really well. So from that point of view, I'm very positive about this, but this will all be the website. No one is asking you to memorize it. Okay, so what subjects might you choose that are within that? Well, I said everyone had to choose an EBAC subject when you get to year 9. And that's what these are in the blue column is over here on the left-hand side of your screen. So EBAC options, triple science, GCSE French, GCSE Spanish, computer science, geography, and history. So everyone must choose one of those. And then you will get to choose two others from this selection over here. And the reason they're laid out the way they are is because EBAC is lots of exam, very exam heavy, their subjects, and BTEC on the far right-hand side, they are coursework, and they might be doing exams partway through. You might be doing some coursework at the same time as well. So it kind of grows from the right-hand side of the screen, BTEC, where there's coursework and exams online going through the course, to the left-hand side of the course where it's very exam heavy and all those exams are at the end. And the ones in the middle are some blend in between. Now, just while I'm on this page, and it's helpful so you know, is that there is that pink box down here in the bottom corner, BTEC Music and BTEC PE. We're thinking about putting those on. So you guys will be part of the people who we come and ask and say, would you be interested in that? Is that something we should explore further? But also, there are some little ones here with some stars on them. So we've got GCSE Music, GCSE Dance, and GCSE PE. Now, these courses are what we would consider to be very elite courses. Now, that's not us. That's based on the exam boards and the way the exam boards now judge your grades. So if those are subjects you're interested in, you must be performing to a high level outside of that lesson time. So, for example, you might be part of the football team. You might be part of a basketball team outside of school. Maybe in music, you play a piano or a violin. And maybe in dance, you're part of a dance troupe, or you are going to do ballet or dance on a regular basis outside of school. So for those subjects, in order to be fairly judged against your peers, you really have to have a talent in that area that you're exploring outside of school. But all of them, all the subjects are possible for everybody, but it's just guidance we really like to make sure everyone's aware of now, because ultimately you need to be doing that right now through year 8 and year 9 if those are the subjects you want to choose. Okay, so I think I've talked enough about what happens in year 10 and 11. So just a very quick overview of what happens when you go on to sixth form. So clearly at Rawlins, we have an outstanding sixth form. Now, you may or may not have any older brothers or sisters there, but it really is outstanding. It is the best performing in the whole of the Leicestershire area. It is pretty much the second best in the whole of the East Midlands. It is a fantastic sixth form to go to. However, it's not right for everybody, and that's absolutely fine. We have great links with Loughborough College, and we have a brilliant careers team, and effectively we have great apprenticeships as well. So there's a route for everyone to go on to what they want to do. But if you do want to stay at sixth form with us at Rawlins, the first thing is you need a minimum of 3 grade 5s and 3 grade 4s, but each subject has its own entry requirements. So when you do come to apply to them, it'll say, for example, I want to do business studies. It'll say, therefore, you need a grade 5 in English and maybe a grade 5 in maths, because there's lots of maths and English within the business studies course. So it's having a look at those subjects as well to make sure what it is you want to do. But in sixth form, there is PSHE and RE again. Everyone has to do a bit of that. Core PE is an offer. Effectively, we offer you PE because we want to still give you the chance to do it. It's not a mandatory thing, but it's there as an opportunity to blow off and let off steam. We know that's important for you, whether you're 11 or 17, it still makes a difference to your health. And there's also what we call our wider core. And now some people's do EPQ through that. That's been very popular this year. I think 80 students have taken it this year. And that's where you do your own little project about something you're really interested in and do research on that. Someone, for example, did, can I transplant someone's head and put it on someone else's body? That was their interesting research. That's what they looked into. The key thing here is that in your EPQ, whether it's about Formula One, whether it's about horse riding, whether it's about your own interests in some obscure fantasy land, like, it does not matter as long as you can show how you've developed your research-led skills through that process, because that's what people want when you go to university. That's your way of showing them how brilliant you are and the skills you've already got. So that's what EPQ is. But there's also what we have, which is what we call wider core. And within that time, if you're not going to do EPQ, we'd expect you to do something like volunteering, whether that be with a volunteer charity or volunteering within school. And you can work on the Right to Read program, and maybe some of you already are on a Right to Read program and have sixth formers who read with you. So we have that sort of process whereby we're giving back. And again, it helps to bolster what you can say when you come to put in your application to university. Okay, and so at sixth form, you again get 3 options. We get a trend here of the 3. And so those 3 options are any 3 subjects, and we have lots of subjects. We're very lucky being a big sixth form. And again, you get 9 hours for each of those. So that's 9 hours a fortnight. And then the other time, you can see there's 33 hours. And then there's a bit of time here for catch up on maths or English if you don't get a grade 4. So you must get a GCSE grade 4 or GCSE grade 5, 4 in English or maths by the end of year 11. And if you don't, you have to redo it. That doesn't matter whether you're at Rawlins sixth form or whether you're at any other sixth form. So it's really important getting your English and maths done right. So working hard at it now, getting that grade by the end of year 11 is really important to you. Otherwise, you'll keep having to resit that exam over and over and over in college and at sixth form before you've got that. So again, this is a very brief overview, and I appreciate there are no tests, but it's all there on the website, so you can come back and have a look. Right, so I've talked about Key Stage 3, I've talked about Key Stage 4, and I've talked about Key Stage 5. I hope that's useful to see the overall pattern, but what you now want to know is, okay, well, how do I choose these options, and what do I do with this time? So with your languages, as we already said, you've already chosen between French and Spanish. So we are just going to carry that forwards as French or Spanish, straightforwards from what you already have. But you then have the choice between art or lens-based art. Now, art includes fine art, art graphics, and art textiles. You get a bit of an experience in each of those, a kind of term on each. Or there's lens-based art, which is art photography, media, or film studies. Now, again, each of those still looks at the national curriculum within art, but it looks at it through the different contexts and is a great platform. Again, if you want to go and do film at GCSE or at A-level, then again, a great option would be that lens-based art, or again, media in the same way. So again, you get to choose and see if those are things that are interesting to you. The same with music, we have a difference between performance, and that's the GCSE route. That's the route where you might be playing a musical instrument, and industry technology. That's the BTEC route that we're looking at proposing. And that's the one where effectively you'll be synthesizing music. You'll be the DJ. You'll be the person who's recording and producing that sound. And I appreciate there are different levels of skill for different aspects. There is no one is better than the other, but it's which side of that would you be more interested in? And then in the physical performance option, there are 3 options. There's dance, there's drama, and there's sports leaders. And within each of those, there's different performance elements, and there's different of that, I guess, physical elements within those. And again, you choose one of those, depending on which one is right for you. And so there's 2 hours for each of those subjects, as you can see there, and 4 hours for your languages. Okay. So where can you find out more about these subjects? Well, first of all, there is a Key Stage 3 options booklet that's online. There's also, obviously, the reality of your teachers, because we know that for some of you, you'll be like, oh, I'm straight on this. I know exactly what I want to do. And I could see even the little photos of some of you at home at the moment going like, yeah, no, I definitely want that one. I don't want that one. I can see straight away for some of you, you know what it is you want. But for others, they're not so sure. And that's okay. I did not know what I wanted to do with my life, with my future, even when I was at university. So if you're not quite sure, it's okay. That's why we're trying to give you a window of time, 1, to be able to think about it, 2, with lots of information to help, and 3, to have some teachers and some time there for you to be able to speak to them and ask for that support and ask, okay, which would be better? What does it mean if I choose this? So we have our teachers, we've got form tutors, we've got our head of year, Mr. Lavender, who I'll introduce later on, and I'm sure he'll want to be able to speak to you as well. We've also got our Senkos, and if you work with your LSAs, we've got those too. And we also have a careers advisor team in school who also would really be keen. If you want some support, they would happily do that too. And you just need to email in on the inquiries for a careers advisor talk, and they will happily meet with you to provide advice for that too. And then once you're ready and you've been through those conversations, you think you know what you want, you go onto our Key Stage 3 options page, and I'll show you where that is. And you click the link, and effectively you fill in the form. And it is, I hope, really easy. Now, I can see I've got a hand up, and I will promise you I will come to you. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to finish this bit so that those people who know what it is that they're doing, then effectively we know we're going to. But I will come to both your questions. Okay. So I've got here, and the deadline, which is Friday, the 1st of March. So that's the Friday after we come back from half term. So you've got that whole week to make up your mind. If you need to speak to anyone, if you want to find out any time, you're able to do so. Okay, so where would I go and find this link? Where can I go and find this information? So first of all, if you go to our website, rawlinsandbraceback.org, and you click on the curriculum link at the top here and Key Stage 3 options tab. And that will take you to a web page, which if you scroll down, you'll find a little link that says click here. And effectively, you just click on the link. Now, at the bottom of that page is where there's the guidance booklet and is where I'll upload this video. So you've got it there to refer to as well. So as I said, there's the Key Stage 3 options booklet, and you'll find in there some guidance about art and lens-based art. And music technology. Now, anyone who's an eager beaver and is going to have a look already, you'll know that I'm afraid I have been off ill, I'm afraid, this week, and I haven't yet had a chance to update it. Everything that's there that I've talked about is still right, but I will delete out the bits that you don't need and make sure it's re-uploaded again by tomorrow. But effectively, everything is there already. So anyone who's opened it, don't worry, nothing is changing. It's just removing bits so it's not so confusing. There's also this bit here about dance, drama, and sports leaders again, so you can have a look. Okay. So at this point, I've got to the point where I say good luck and make sure that you're going on to the website, click the link, fill in the gaps, and make sure you know what it is that you're doing. However, I'm aware that I've been through all of that in what is now, well, I said it'd be 20 minutes. 20 minutes is pretty much bang on. So I'd love to be able to answer your questions, but I'd also love to give Mr. Lavender a chance also to say hello as well. So Mr. Lavender, in the background, I'm going to try and stop sharing so that everyone can see you, if that's okay. And I'll hopefully be able to allow you to unmute yourself as well. So, Mr. Lavender, I think you should be able to unmute. And if I go to stop sharing. Hello, Mr. Lavender. Can people see you? I don't know if they can. If you talk,
Can you hear me okay, sir?
I can hear you.
Perfect. Let's hope for the best then.
Well, can they give a thumbs up? Can they see you?
Yeah, if somebody can give a thumbs up if you can hear us, that would be great, and we'll see on the cameras. There we go. I can see some nods from Joseph, so we're all okay. Yeah, so I just wanted to take an opportunity, kind of on a slightly unrelated note, just to introduce myself because so I took over head of year 8 at the start of this year, having just joined Rawlins this year as well. And I'm aware that in my role, you don't necessarily get to speak to every single parent or every single student all of the time. So the main thing that I wanted to do is just to pop on to say hello and to show my face. So to those of you who have seen me before, hello again. To those of you who haven't, then obviously it's great to be able to speak to you here. And hopefully, as we go through the year, so my intention is to stay with year 8 all the way through to year 11, hopefully. So you'll have plenty of time, hopefully, to come and see me in person. Get in touch over email or anything you need to do. So just wanted to say hello, and then I'll free up back to Mr. Vasey for any other questions you might have.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Lavender. So at this point, I'm going to try and see if I can share my screen again. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do that or if I've now made it disappear. Oh, well. At this point, then, I'm going to say, if you have any questions, whether they be in the chat or whether you want to unmute yourself and ask out loud to everybody, please feel free right now to unmute yourself and effectively ask your question. I am more than happy. Can you guys see the question? Can you see question and answers? Is that up there again now? Are we there again? Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
So I am more than happy to answer these in front of everybody else or to try and do so individually later on if that's what works better. But I've got Vicky Brunt. So Vicky Brunt, you've got your hand up. I'm going to say, Vicky, if you're happy to try and unmute yourself, hopefully that'll work.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can. Yes. Hi.
Okay, hi, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How can I help?
My son's likes to be awkward, as do I, and would like both art options. Is that a completely not an option, or is that something we can do? Because he would like to do the film and the fine art when he gets to GCSEs.
Okay, and so unfortunately at this stage, no, we can't. However, there are art clubs, and so therefore you could come along to art club, but effectively run at the same time. So I can't do both at the same time, if that makes sense. So I've only got 50 hours. However, when you come to GCSE, yes, absolutely, you can do film and you can do fine art. So there is nothing that stops you wanting to do both of those. There's nothing that stops you from doing both of those routes. It's just in year 9, as we've tried to allow people to specialize, we can't do both of them at the same time.
Okay, so with that in mind, which one would he be better doing?
Oh, that's a question for an art teacher. So I'm going to say, please ask Miss Bradley or Miss Carter Bland. They will give you a very good answer to that question, rather than I will be here as a physics teacher telling you something that's probably not very helpful at all, but very much related to physics. So I can tell you that physics is the best answer of all, but right now it's probably not the answer you need. So can I ask you to please send in your child to go and speak to them? They're very lovely and they will absolutely give you the best advice.
Okay, sorry, Miss Bradley and who was the other one?
And Miss Carter Bland. So Miss Carter Bland is the Director of Learning for the Creativity Department.
I will get him to do that. That's wonderful. Thank you.
That's okay. Thank you very much. Next question, please. I've got Melanie Jantz van Rensburg. Please, if I can ask you to unmute.
Yes, hello. I just want to make sure I missed the first bit because the first link didn't work. So you might have said this already.
Okay.
But do they have to do a music subject?
Yes, they do. So the government put forward changes to the curriculum that says that everyone must do music now until year 9. And so that's where we are, and that's why we're doing it. But it's about whether they do music as a performance, so they want to play the musical instrument, or whether they want to do it as that technological route for sound recording and being more of the DJ and the person behind the screen, if that makes sense.
Thank you very much.
That's okay, no problem. I've got another one from Stephen English.
Hi, am I right in thinking you can't choose 2 or more from the EBAC?
So no, that's not. So when we get to GCSE, no, absolutely, you can choose all EBACs if you wanted to. There's no one that says you can't. However, that's obviously the more EBACs you choose, the more academic that route is, and so the more exam heavy it is. So no one is saying you can't do that, and actually we would encourage students that are having very high, for what we would consider to say high prior attainment, that they should be thinking about a humanities, so history or geography, and a language. And they may also be in the triple science pool as well, depending on how they're performing in year 9. So they may have a very large amount of those EBIC subjects. So no one is saying you must or mustn't. And clearly we're guiding some people to do that, but we just want to make sure that people know what they're going into and what that looks like for them if that was the route they chose.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Any other questions? Oh, I've got a couple that have come up on the chat. So let me start with this one. I've got one from Ruth Lewin. Will the presentation be available online? Yes. It will take me a little while. I will try and do it tomorrow morning and get it online tomorrow afternoon. So please have a look again. The video should be there online tomorrow. Is D&T compulsory for year 9 now? Yes. So D&T was always compulsory, and effectively D&T was an option whether you chose design or whether you chose food technology. What we have done is we've looked at what the Ofsted guidance is, and they've effectively said we need to do both of those things. So we are effectively doing a carousel. So everyone will do a carousel of D&T in year 9 now, and so where it was a choice for any child that was in year 9 last year, this year it's not, but you'll all do a little bit of each of those things. So hopefully that answers that question. How is BTEC graded compared to GCSEs, and how is that considered for sixth form? So in reality, BTECs are graded in what are called pass grades. So level 1 pass, level 2 pass, level 1 merit, level 2 merit, level 2 distinction, distinction star. So there's a grading system, but they are considered equivalent in terms of points to GCSE. So they still get you onto sixth form courses. They still get you onto courses at college. However, they are just differently assessed is the main kind of understanding of them. So they're assessed as an ongoing process. And therefore, someone who's potentially less good at exams but more good at coursework might do better in a BTEC environment or a more hands-on environment, as often the BTECs are more of a vocational route. Now, as a sixth form, we no longer offer BTECs. At sixth form, we are now an A-level only provider. However, there are many colleges, and Loughborough College is an exceptionally good local college who offers a lot of BTEC courses still, although the government are fading them out, or at least they'd like to. So at GCSE, there is no real difference in terms of what outcomes you can achieve if you choose BTEC to if you choose GCSEs. It's just understanding that they're assessed differently. Okay. And then I have got Abby Davis, who's got your hand up. Abby, if I can ask you to unmute.
Yeah, thank you. I'm a little bit confused now. I'm quite a lot confused, actually.
Okay. Sorry.
It's all right. So they have to do a music. That's fine, not a problem. Do they also have to choose one of the 2 arts and one of the sport leadership ones as
Yes,
well?
that's exactly right. Yes. So
okay, right.
Effectively, in that option, they must choose something within each of those things. So we have what's called the national curriculum, which all schools have to abide by. And so we're enabling you to choose within that curriculum, but everyone must do art, everyone must do DT, everyone must do music. So it's about saying, well, okay, well, we must do it, but let's do the bits that you enjoy the most. Let's make sure that actually you're going to benefit from that time and not feel like, okay, well, I kind of wanted to have a bit more than just doing the same as what I was doing in year 8.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
That's okay. Does that help clear that up a little bit?
I think so. I'm hoping it will become a little bit more clear when we look at the form.
Yes. Okay, so effectively on the form, because that's really helpful, thank you. On the form, effectively, it'll have drop-down boxes for each one, and you can't go wrong. You just have to choose between each aspect. So it kind of nicely leads you through each bit, and effectively you get to the end, you know you've done the job right.
Brilliant, thank you.
No problem, thank you. Any other questions? Have I got any more on the chat? No, no more on the chat yet. Any more hands up? Okay, right. Well, it's been half an hour. I'm aware that some of you guys will have other things you want to go and do, food to make, and maybe even going to do some sports of an evening, or maybe finishing your homework. So what I am going to do is I'm going to happily stay here. And I will be here for another 10 minutes or so, but I'm aware that there are some people who sometimes don't like to ask in front of everybody, whilst other people are more than happy to do so. So I will be here for the next 5 to 10 minutes or so. If there's anyone who wants to stay on towards the end and ask another question, they're welcome to do so. Oh, I have got one question that's just dropped in from Will Salisbury. So hi, Will. So if you change your mind because you don't like it, can you revert your decision? So that's a great question. Effectively, in the next 2 weeks, if you, for example, went and fill in the form today, right now, and then you changed your mind before the end of the 2 weeks, all you have to do is go back and fill the form in with whatever you want to change it to. However, at the end of that point, my job is then to go away with the curriculum manager and build a timetable that works for everybody's options. So whilst there is always the opportunity to have a conversation about changing things, ultimately there's only so many options I can make work, and I've got to start working from a point in time. And so at that point in time, that's when we go, okay, right now I've got your options. This is what I'm going to try and make work. And that's what I'm going to try and do. And it takes us about 4 months to fix your options, the year 9's options, and the year 11's options, and everybody else's timetable to all work for all 2,000 people that are at Rawlins every single day. So it does take a little bit of time, but that doesn't mean to say that if you change your mind between now and the deadline, you can't change it. Just go back in and refill in the form. And ultimately, if there is an absolute non-negotiable that I can't cope with the subject that you're in, there would always be support for you. And so we will come and have that conversation with you and see what we can do. But what we hope is that we get those options right, and that therefore that's the whole point about practicing this in year 8 into 9, so that when we come to do our GCSEs, we don't change, because ultimately changing when you started a GCSE is not possible and doesn't work. So it's about trying to get it right now, and hopefully that's the supporting strategy that we've put in place. Okay, any other questions? No, okay, right. So at which point then I'm going to call an end to the meeting and say, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for your questions, and have a lovely evening.